Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Classics Mantenna. One of the original members of the Evil Horde finally gets an updated action figure in the Classics lineup. With having such a unique design, how did this guy turn out? Let's find out. Mantenna comes in the standard Masters of the Universe Classics blister card packaging, complete with Evil Horde insignia sticker on the front of the blister bubble. The back shows off a selection of other figures from the Classics line, as well as offers us a brand new bio for Mantenna. Mantenna here is a character who really sticks to that horror theme that the original Evil Horde had. He's quite a monster of a character, and the sculpt work that went into this Classics figure is pretty incredible. He was a tad goofy looking on both his vintage action figure and his appearance in the Filmation cartoon series, but the Horsemen have done an amazing job here of maintaining all of the elements that make Mantenna, but at the same time making him look like a frightful beast of a character. His round yellow bug eyes are reminiscent of the way the character appeared in the animated series, rather than the vintage toy, but that works out really well on this figure's face. He also features a round mouth full of sharp teeth all the way around it and some mandibles sticking out, and his large red ears have beautiful detailing to the sculpt. Mantenna utilizes a lot of new parts, as you can really see while looking over the details of his chest and his arms. He's wonderfully painted with bright blues, reds, and yellows used throughout, with nice shading detail on top of that to bring all of those sculpted details out even more. And then we come to the most exciting part about this figure. The fact that he has 4 fully articulated legs. On the vintage figure, his 4 legs were actually represented by just 2 legs that were sculpted to look as though 4 legs were stuck together. Here, we finally get a Mantenna action figure the way he was always meant to look. Those 4 legs pose wonderfully, allowing for some pretty amazing and fierce looking poses with Mantenna. Alright guys, let's go ahead and take a closer look at Mantenna here. Now, articulation on this guy, pretty standard along with all the other figures. Of course, the biggest difference is the fact that he has all these extra legs. So let's go ahead and run down the articulation first and foremost here. Head is able to turn both left and right. The ears are softer, but they're not too soft, and they don't get in the way at all. They don't hinder the articulation whatsoever. Head can also move slightly up and down, so it's standard movement in the head. You got the ball joints at the shoulders there, so the arms can go upwards, forwards, backwards. Nice swivels at the bicep. Standard joint at the elbow, swivels at the wrist. You got the torso crunch articulation there. You got the waist swivel, and this is where things get a little different. You can see he does kind of have almost like the skirt-like loincloth piece, but it does curve around pretty well to where it doesn't really look like that from the front. And you can just see it's basically kind of like a larger crotch piece underneath that is fit for 4 legs. Now these legs are all articulated like standard legs, and they work great. You've got the swivels at the thighs on all of them. You've got the standard joints at the knees, and it's really cool because he's got these great little like knee guards that totally hide the joint when the leg is completely straight there. And you can also swivel them right below the knees there, which is basically your boot cut articulation. You got the standard joints at the ankles, all of which are very tight. They even have that nice like ratchet joint going on in there, so they click. Nice and firm articulation, and they've all got that ankle rocker, so all of the feet can rock side to side as well. What's really great about that is because if you're going to have all of his legs kind of posed outwards, kind of like very spider-like, it's very helpful having that rocker articulation on the ankles so that you can get all his feet flat on the ground. And it's really cool because you can stretch his legs out straight completely like that. You can bend his legs and kind of move some frontwards, some backwards. You can really get some amazing poses out of all these legs, and it works really nicely. So excellent job by the Horsemen and Mattel on pulling off such fantastic articulation with Mantenna's 4 legs. Something I've always wanted to see properly done on a Mantenna action figure. Now, everything else pretty much basic. Head is removable, just like on all the other figures. I will point out though that underneath his head on the back of his neck, got a little bit of paint scuffing there where it looks like the head's kind of rubbed off paint. At least it's under the head. Like when you put the head back on, you don't really see it, so it's not that big of a deal, and honestly, that's like the only blemish I have found on this entire figure. Otherwise, he is pretty great as far as his paint goes, and he's wonderful as far as his articulation goes. Now he does have a special feature there to do the eye bugging action feature, and what's kind of neat, I will point this out, the back of the mailer box has a cool little diagram that shows you how to pop off the parts for the eye bugging action feature. I thought that was kind of cool that they included that on there. If you guys remember the vintage Mantenna figure, you had this little lever on his back there, and when you raised the lever, that basically made the eyes just kind of bug out of his head. That was the fun little action feature of the vintage figure. Well, the new Mantenna does retain the eye bugging, but it's not an action feature. There's no lever or anything. Basically what happens here is he includes the eye bugging interchangeable eyeballs. And in order to pop those off, you first have to remove his little mandible mouth here because those are actually blocking in the eyes. And it's very easy to do. You just pop it out, and as you can see, it's a real nice tight hold. There are 3 pegs that just plug into his mouth, and it locks in nice and firm, so it's not too loose or anything like that. So you just pull that out, and then you can pop out the eyeballs, which are plugged in just with regular standard pegs. Again, those are nice and tight. They hold in there pretty firm. You can pop those out, and that's kind of horrifying, right? Then we can pop in the bugging out eyes, which just like the regular eyes, just come to a standard peg end there. You can just put those in its place. You can put the mandible mouth back on, like so, pops that in, and there we have Mantenna with his eyes bugging out. So, very cool. It's a great way to pull off this vintage action feature, and it looks really cool. The interchangeable bug eyes are quite effective, and work as a great way to display the figure with his classic action feature. But another reason the interchangeable method works better is that we even have detailing on the sculpt of the thinner parts of the eyes that are bugging out, rather than it being just undetailed straight pieces of plastic to work with the pop-out action feature. In addition to those bug-out eyes, Mantenna also includes a classic Horde crossbow, just like all of the other members of the Evil Horde. His crossbow is nicely detailed and is painted in all one color, but that color is a slightly metallic gunmetal silver and looks really nice. He can only hold the crossbow in his right hand, as his left hand is sculpted more open. Alright guys, it's comparison time! Here's a look at Classics Mantenna standing alongside his vintage counterpart. You can really see the big difference in design here, specifically in those legs and in his eyes. And here he is alongside the NECA Staction from the 2000X lineup. It looks like a lot of cues were taken from the design of that one and worked into this new Classics rendition. Mantenna is a major character when it comes to the Evil Horde, and a character fans have wanted to see for quite some time now. He gets us one step closer to completing the original Evil Horde from the Masters of the Universe toy line, adds another villain for She-Ra to do battle with for the Filmation fans, and just offers us a really unique new figure to add to our collection. The style of this guy just translated so amazingly into Classics. I love the interchangeable eyes and the overall sculpt of this guy, but I really love the uniqueness of him having 4 fully posable legs. He really stands out when displayed on the toy shelf, and I must say, he is among my absolute favorites from the Classics line for this year. Mantenna is part of the 2013 Club Eternia subscription and will be available on MattyCollector.com on October 15th, 2013. Until next time,